G'day Bruce, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. And in case you're wondering why I'm doing today's video in an Australian accent, a very, very bad Australian accent, that's because today's video features the Royal Australian Armoured Corps Mark V Centurion. And it's being driven for us today in this Tier 8 battle on the Mines map by Big Hat Baby, one of only 3 Tier 8s on his team. Yes, it's that 357 matchmaker that we all know and love as well. Now, the other 2 Tier 8s on his team are an IS-3 who's going to hook around and go straight for the cap. This is encounter on mines. And an S-1 who's going to move about 30 metres from the spawn and then dig in like a tick on a dog's back, proving almost completely useless to his team for most of the game until it's far too late because, well, let's face it, he's in an S-1 and this is mines. Big Hat Baby, on the other hand, wasted no time getting stuck in here, although... interesting. Well, he's going to take a hit. But he bounced a shot from the P-44 Pantera on the enemy team. The 3 Tier 8s on the enemy team, well, we're going to be seeing plenty of them. The Jagdtiger 88 has already been spotted, and he's in more or less exactly the spot you'd expect him to be. The P-44 Pantera is down in that direction as well. In fact, there he is. We've already bounced one shot from him. And the T-26 Patriot is going to be making a guest appearance before too long. And what you may notice, or perhaps you wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't pointed it out, is that rather than just farming easy damage and kills on all of the Tier 6s and 7s in this match, although if he gets the opportunity to kill a Tier 6 or 7 he doesn't waste any time, Big Hat Baby is focusing his fire where possible on the enemy Tier 8s. In fact, he seems to be the only person focusing his fire on the enemy Tier 8s because he is going to kill this Jagdtiger 88 completely single-handed. Jagdtiger 88 is not the only tank destroyer lurking down at that end of the map. He just bounced a shot from a Jagdpanther, and judging by the amount of damage blocked, he's probably sporting the 105mm gun. But once again, one of the enemy Tier 8s is spotted, the P-44 Pantera, and rather than farming damage on the Tier 6s and 7s, he's prioritising these top tier enemy tanks. Because that's the thing about the 357 matchmaker, with only 3 top tier tanks on each team, if you can eliminate those top tier tanks, you give your team a huge chance of success. Of course, the flip side of the 357 matchmaker is that if the top tier tanks on your team suck... yeah. And speaking of top tier tank drivers that suck, while the P-44 has gone unspotted, there's the T-26 Patriot, and he has just team killed one of his own Tier 7 IS Russian heavy tanks. Now, bear this in mind, okay? That guy is a team killer. The Jagdtiger 88 was one of the first tanks eliminated, and the P-44 Pantera is camping the back of the map like an absolute pro. So these are the enemy team's top 3 tanks. One of them's already dead, one of them's a team killer, and the other one is camping the back of the map behind the Tier 7 tank destroyers. And yet, somehow, Big Hat Baby's team are still losing. It's not an encouraging thought, is it? And it's not as if the Tier 8 tanks on Big Hat Baby's team aren't picking up the slack. I mean, okay, so the S1 is still back there, camping the back of the map. Although he is at least getting something to shoot at, but you can't really blame him. He is in an S1, he only has 30mm of armour, and this is mines. The IS-3's over there, contesting and defending the cap against the T-26 over there, and Big Hat Baby's approaching 2,000 damage, almost all of which done, once again, against the enemy top tier tanks. He's got the opportunity here to do damage and farm easy kills on the KV-2R and the IS down there, but he's focusing down the enemy top tier tanks. That should be enough for the T-25-2 and the IS-3 between them to finish off the Patriot. The scores are now even, and the enemy team only have 1 Tier 8 tank remaining. Big Hat Baby's team still have all 3. And it's now that the P-44 decides to make its move. Could this be a case of too little too late? Well, he was unable to get a further shot into the P-44 for the moment, and the Jagdpanther has once again gone unspotted. That P-44's got a lot of health remaining, however, and he's coming this way. In fact, yep, there he is. Now that's probably going to be very, very bad news for that T-71, because the P-44 is almost certainly going to stop to kill him first. The team had just lost 3 tanks within the space of a few seconds. The scores are now 7-10. The P-44 stopped to kill the KV-85 on the right first, and now he finishes off the T-71. and that delay is allowing Big Hat Baby the time that he needs to put a couple of shots in and reduce the double health advantage that the P44 began this fight with. And fighting him here, of course, also means that he can't be hit by enemy artillery. His ammo rack was damaged, he uses the repair kit. Who's going to win the reload battle? It's not going to be the P44. Note, Big Hat Baby's team still, at least for the moment, have all 3 of their tier 8 tanks, as well as a T25-2, and the enemy team have none. And yet they're still losing. It's not looking too good over there in the cap. Both the T25-2 and the IS-3 are in trouble, and Big Hat Baby doesn't have a clear shot. The S1 is being pressured by enemy mediums, and in fact he's the first tier 8 tank on this team to die. Big Hat Baby couldn't prevent the S1's death, but he can at least avenge him by finishing off this Easy 8. And he does kill the Easy 8, but within a fraction of a second they lose the T25-2, and Big Hat Baby is now on his Jack Jones against 5 enemy tanks. And he's spotted. And they're all shooting at him. And he's been immobilised in a spot where even the enemy artillery can hit him. And I don't know if you've noticed, but one of the subtle differences between the Mark 1 Centurion and this Mark 5, both at tier 8, the Mark 1 has armoured side skirts. This thing doesn't. So it takes a lot of damage from high explosive. It has better mobility, and it's that mobility which prevents him from getting hammered by the Hubble right there. This thing actually has a 950 horsepower engine. He finishes off the VK. But, oh bollocks. Jagdpanther. Well, we know he's got the 105mm gun. He's doing 320 blocked damage, so kill him before he can reload, and then get moving. Using that, essentially, stock Mark 7 Tier 9 Centurion engine. Unfortunately, this time the Hummel does not miss. And now he only has 101 health remaining against 3 enemies who can all one-shot him. Not least of which the KV-2R, who's down there in the cap circle somewhere. There he is. Beats him to the trigger. He's now alone against 2 enemies, all of whom can one-shot him. But the KV-2R will have seen him pull the trigger, so he's motoring around to the far side of the castle, where he's likely to be safe from artillery. Yep, there was the Hummel shot. And he's waiting here for the heavy tank number 6. This is the premium tier 6 Japanese version of the Tiger. Now it's only tier 6, it's not tier 7, which means it doesn't get the long-barreled 88mm gun, which historically the Tiger never had anyway. Instead it has the original shorter-barreled L56 version of the 88, which only has 145mm of penetration. But this guy's been firing gold the entire game anyway, so... and that's understandable, of course. He's in a tier 6, he's fighting tier 8s, and this kill, one penetrating shot, would have won the match. So it's completely understandable. But with 194mm of premium penetration, even that's going to struggle to get through the upper glacis, even unangled, of the Mark 5 Centurion. So he's dead. And now it's Big Hat Baby against the Hummel. The last time that Hummel hit him, and it hit him on the turret, which is quite heavily armoured, it still did 176 damage. And right now, that's 76 more damage than he can afford to take. He's loading his high explosive ammunition, obviously, but the Hummel has 300 health, and even the high explosive on a 20-pounder gun only does 280 average damage. This may take more than one shot. And there's the Hummel, and he's looking the other way, and it's definitely going to take more than one shot because that one missed. Luckily for Big Hat Baby, the Hummel is so desperate to get the first shot off, clearly not realising just how little damage a 20-pounder high explosive shell does, that he is not fully aimed, and so that shot misses. And that's kind of lucky, because if he'd spent just one more second aiming, that would have killed Big Hat Baby. But he screwed it up, and Big Hat Baby is taking no further chances with his final shot, finishes off the Hummel, and that's 8 kills, a Radley Walters medal, and a Kolobanov's medal for Big Hat Baby in the Royal Australian Armoured Corps Mark 5 Centurion. In fact, it's not just Radley Walters and the Kolobanov's medal, those are the 2 big ones, but that's actually 11 medals in total. Although surprisingly, that's not enough for an Ace Tanker badge in this machine. That was only good enough for a First Class Mastery badge. Yeah, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the other people who are driving the Royal Australian Armoured Corps Mark 5 Centurion. If 5,000 damage done and 2,000 damage blocked still isn't good enough for Ace Tanker. I suspect Big Hat Baby isn't too concerned about that, however, because that was an insanely profitable game for him. he cleared 208,000 credits earned, and even after his costs, which were fairly negligible because there were no Japanese super heavies in that match, he didn't have to fire any premium, he actually cleared a profit of over 171,000 credits. So, that was Big Hat Baby in the Royal Australian Armoured Corps, Centurion Mark 5-1, Tier 8 Premium British. And I know I'm going to get into trouble with Australia for saying that, but, well, it's true. British. Tier 8 Medium Tank. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.